Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. If you cast your mind back, about 7 or 8 local authorities in Scotland declared housing emergencies, and they were bad. They were very bad. And eventually, it had to be accepted that the whole of Scotland had a housing emergency. And one of the first sort of crises of many, I suppose, that happened after John Swinney became leader was the admittance of Scotland's housing crisis. This, of course, was all down to SNP policy. Everybody knows this. The sort of the difficulties they put onto the house building industry, the insistence of various things they had to meet by regulation, the insistence of pricing, and they had to build so many affordable houses or social houses, which removed a lot of the incentive to build houses for profit because you weren't just making enough to run the businesses and so forth like this. And on top of that, of course, in her first budget, Shona Robinson removed 200 million from the social housing budget as well. There are so many factors. But, of course, you're not allowed to say that the SNP has made a mistake or got anything wrong. And so they sat there and they were casting around desperate for reasons to blame. And, of course, they came up with many. And I think you all know the sort of reasons that we will mention in a minute. But let them sit and stew in your mind. But you'll know what we're going to get to. But the whole point, of course, was to save John Swinney's embarrassment. Because, of course, he's the new leader. He can't be walking in on day one having a crisis caused by a party of which he has now, just become leader of. So it was, let's ignore this. Let's just say that it was something else. We're not going to take the blame. We're going to pass it on. Let's ignore the record homelessness problem in Scotland. Let's ignore the fact that nobody is building. Let's ignore the fact that we made it. You had to put heat pumps into new houses that nobody wants to buy. Let's ignore the fact that we created all these pitfalls and difficulties for house builders. And let's blame Brexit, Westminster, let's blame COVID, let's blame, and it's bingo, isn't it? It's blaming bingo. Per many 4 from 6, and you're bound to be a winner. And that, of course, is what's happened. And every time they're questioned on it, that's what they say. It was this, it was that. It was the other. But this housing crisis is one of the defining crises and emergencies of John Swinney's terrible leadership of the party. And they literally have no idea how to get out of it. They can't build their way out of it because the laws that they've brought in about house building don't allow them to. And even if they changed, the conditions, say, oh, no, we need you to build, blah, 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 blah. Well, the house builders aren't going to now. They're committed their capital south of the border. They don't have much to spend north because that's where they're building. It's all gone. The capital is going. And so it's not a problem that's going to be cured anytime soon. Now, he can stand there and he can make big, grandiose speeches about how he's going to work hard to sort this problem out. It's his mission to sort this out. Well, that's fine. Work hard and have a mission. But unless you know the plan, pointless. He hasn't got a plan because he hasn't got a clue. It's sad. It's particularly sad for the homeless, of course. But you do have all these grandiose plans. You wanted to open up a new pretendy embassy in Warsaw. Oh, apparently that was easy. But not build houses for homeless children. Oh, no. No, sir. Can't do that, sir. Too difficult. The fact is, Swinney cannot now disguise that this is anything other than the fault of the SNP. No matter how they attend to spin it, how they attend to put the blame elsewhere. You can't point a finger at someone else and say it's their fault when it clearly isn't, when they aren't the ones making the decisions. They aren't the ones controlling the purse strings. And yet that's what they're attempting to do. On top of that, of course, that's just the house building. On top of that, of course, you've got rent control madness. You had the let's not let anyone be evicted madness. You've got so many anti-landlord laws that entire swathes of landlords are getting out of the sector, and who can blame them? And so, whilst there's no houses being built, there's also very few and increasingly fewer houses available for rent. What does he think was going to happen? And again, this is an example, and I say it time and time again. You have a party in power that lack the ability to see consequence of action. They sit there and they think, well, if we say this is what we want, then that is what's going to happen. But reality is, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. It ain't what you want. And they don't get it. They're incapable of understanding simple consequences. Because they're all stupid. It's the only explanation, isn't it? Now, unless they reverse virtually every one of these deeply divisive, deeply damaging policies, say, let's get rid, you don't have to have heat pumps, let's get rid of rent caps, rent control, let's encourage private landlords back into the sector, because the more private landlords there are, the lower the rent, because, market forces. That not only creates more available properties to be rented, but it also brings the price down and makes them much more affordable. But again, consequences, they don't get it. It's too hard a concept. They're not conceptual thinkers. And I do think it's one of those problems. I don't think they can see it. I think that they are retarded in some way. There's some thought process within them that just makes this impossible to deal with. And it doesn't matter how many times they stand there pretending that they know what they're doing, pretending that they have solutions to the problems that they have created. Unless they actually do have solutions, it ain't going to get better. And this is the sad thing really, nobody expects it to get better. Nobody even on the inside, nobody within the SNP even expects this to get better. And we've seen how even the SNP are expecting to be shoveled at the next election because they know how badly they've screwed up every single thing they've done. It's a joy to watch. It must be terrible to live through. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you've got solutions, do tell. I mean, I've given a couple, but if you've got any more, let me know. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, stay out of trouble. I'll speak to you later. Bye.